Well, good morning, welcome back. Now today, XJR 1300 chain and sprockets change. Now a job like this is always a game of two halves. There's the stripping and cleaning and removing of everything first, then you turn the other way and it's rebuilding, refitting and doing everything up. And right where we are now is exactly at the midway stage. So if you need the first half because you want a full tutorial on how to do this, then I'll leave a link at the end to a full blow-by-blow step-by-step tutorial we made some years ago covering every single step in detail. But for those of you following the project, we're already at the halfway stage. The parts are here, so let's button it up. Right, first job, we're going to fit the front sprocket, and taking a look at the shaft, it's got the usual coating of light surface rust. They all end up with that. Take a soft wire brush, we're going to clean all that up, then a light coating of grease, ready to receive the shiny new sprocket. Right, ordered my parts for this job based on the exact model and year of the bike. And what's turned up, both sprockets are different number of teeth to the sprockets that are on the bike. So what's happened? Front sprockets, factory spec is 17 teeth. And I've double checked and that's correct. The bike had 19 teeth, 2 more than standard. Rear sprockets, the factory spec is 39 teeth for this year of XJR, but the bike has 38. So in what way has the previous owner changed the gearing? Well, quite simply, the previous owner has raised the gearing for long distance cruising, which is exactly what he did with it, as borne out by the flat tyres. He's put 1 tooth off the rear, 2 teeth on the front, and that kind of almost gives you a 7th gear, like an overdrive. There is a cost to that though. It means pulling away, you lose half your first gear. It's a bit sluggish pulling away, it's not quite so brisk. And I think the XJR 1300 is legendary for its wonderful flexibility of performance, and I want to return to that. So in this case, I'm going to put the standard factory gearing back on. Now it's not necessary to replace the nut that holds the sprocket on, long as it's in fine condition, that's okay, but the tab washer, that's a different matter. That's just a piece of tin and it bends backwards and forwards every time you take this nut off, and that can snap off and then you're unprotected from this coming loose. So a new tab washer every time, if you can, not necessarily the nut. Anyway, we're going to use the time-honoured trick to hold the sprocket still by pinning the old chain around the axle so I can torque it up. Now, rear sprocket nuts, in this case, are a little bit chewed. At least 3 of them are quite badly damaged, probably because they've been undone with an adjustable spanner or just an open ender and they've slipped off them or something. I saw that when I was surveying the job, so I bought new sprocket nuts for the new sprocket, but these may not come off so easily if they're already chewed up. So I've got a solution. Right, these are lock-on sockets from Sealey. They've got a specially designed internal shape that grabs hold of partially rounded or chewed nuts or bolts, and they've got me out of trouble many times. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to treat yourself. 14. Right, in this case, the nut is so tight, it's brought the entire stud out of the casting. So next job, I've got to get that nut off the stud so I can use it again. No. Right, if you're going to kit yourself out for this sort of thing, two products, both worth investing in. High strength red stud lock for locking the studs in place, and medium strength nut lock so that when you take the nuts off, the studs stay put in the casting and don't cause dramas like this was. Links in the description. Right, when you buy a chain and you order the parts, chain and sprockets, with the exact specification for your bike, then when you put the chain on, it should fit. It should be the correct number of links specified by the factory. And this chain, it is. But when you look at it, you might think there's too many. In fact, here, it almost looks like there's 2 links too many. But when we look at the chain itself, the adjuster here is right at the front of its adjustment, as far as it will go. And the chain here is already tight enough to ride on 0 adjustment, and that's not correct. Now come out until the chain fits correctly to join the compression link. And although that looks way too slack, if you pull the wheel back along its path of adjustment, there you can see we've now got correct chain tension. And if you look at the adjuster, and it looks like it's quite a way at the back, like this one is here, already nearly 3/4 of the way back, and it's brand new. But remember, from the beginning of the life of this chain and sprocket set to the very end when you replace it, that axle will only move back by about 10 millimeters, and there is plenty there to achieve that. So that's correct. Perfect. Okay, 5.75 and 5.75, boom. Right, okay, compression links. If you've never done this, they're nothing to be scared of. I know clip links are easier because you just snap them on, but these things are not difficult at all. When you press the outer plate on, it's an interference fit, so you use the tool for that. Most of these tools come with instructions. It's ever so easy to use. When you press it on, naturally, just make sure it's exactly the same width as all the others. Use a caliper and you can work that out. The other thing is when you have to flare the end of these 2 pins, there's information from the chain manufacturer and from the tool companies as well of exactly how much you have to flare the ends of those. And you'll get a scope as well. It'll be something like 5.5 to 5.8 mil on a 5 mil pin. So you're literally only flaring it by less than a millimetre. Mine, I flared them to just under the maximum and they're absolutely secure. There's no way on earth that will ever come off. Far safer than a clip link. Anyway, that's it for that. That's the chain and sprockets fitted. Now we would normally button it up, which would mean setting the chain tension, doing the wheel alignment, putting the sprocket cover on, putting the chain cover on, and going for a test ride. But I can't do that because this is a project and I'm only part way through. I've got loads more to do yet, including take the back wheel out again to replace the rear tyre at some point in the future. So I'll leave it as it is, that's absolutely fine. Now also, the clutch slave cylinder, the infamous XJR clutch slave cylinder, these are always a problem and it isn't necessarily leaking, but it's only a matter of time. So I'm going to be replacing all the seals inside that in the next one. I'll see you then.